I think it would be an understatement to say that GTA 5 is one of the most popular games ever made. Even the people who aren't particularly fond of gaming know about GTA. It has become a pop culture phenomena at this point, whenever any GTA game releases. So was the case back in 2013 when this game came out and people went crazy over it. So crazy that people still continue to play it and make content on it, even after a decade. The hype around this game was crazy at the time, and Rockstar spent a buttload of money marketing this game alone. It was one of the most expensive games ever made, with an estimated cost of over 265 million. That's more money than most mainstream movies take to make. And I'm sure this number might not be a lot compared to Red Dead Redemption 2 clocking in at 540 million, and I'm 100% sure that GTA 6 would only surpass this number. Still, Grand Theft Auto 5 is over 12 years old now, and somehow that's really hard to believe. I guess I'm getting too old for this shit. Anyway, on the occasion of the 12-year anniversary of this game, we will be revisiting it just like my previous videos and see what exactly was so great about it. Where did it falter, and most importantly, does it still hold up? Before I start, I'd like to say that this video will contain spoilers from the game, so you have been warned. But without further ado, let's dive right into this retrospective look on Grand Theft Auto 5. Grand Theft Auto 5 puts you right into the action, as you start the game with a heist in North Yankton, followed by a time skip where you play as another protagonist and boost some cars. This is where we are introduced to the basic mechanics of the game, which are driving and shooting. Now, driving in this game is a mixed bag in my opinion. I'm not a fan of the physics and the way the cars handle, as they appear to be quite slippery on the roads, and it often feels like there is no weight or gravity holding your car down. Which is why I much prefer the physics from GTA 4, as it really felt like cars had much more weight to them even if they slipped down the road. It felt a lot more realistic and I could buy it. But GTA 5 this happens far too often with cars, which does sort of break the immersion a bit. But on the other hand, I do like it when your speed and momentum builds up as your car accelerates down the road. I don't know, something about that feels so free and liberating, which is something I haven't felt with any other game before. What also impressed me was the sheer amount and variety of vehicles you can drive in this game. In the GTA 5 story mode alone, you can drive up to 347 cars in total, and this doesn't even include the ones that you can drive in the online version of the game. Also, each character you play as has their own unique standard vehicle, which is quite nice. It differentiates them from each other. I feel like no other open world game has this many controllable vehicles in the open world. There's also aircrafts which are fun to fly, but man, it's a pain in the ass to fly the chopper in this game. I hated it the first time and I still hate it now. The controls are just so complicated. Talking about the shooting, which again I won't necessarily say is the greatest, like it's fine and gets the job done, but I feel like people die in just a few shots, which is way too quick and kind of makes the NPCs feel less like people and more like shooting props. At least with GTA 4, the NPCs took a few bullets before going down, and you can also see them limping after being shot, which also made the gunfights far more interesting and challenging in that game. Also, the way the guns handle and sound in GTA 4 is clearly superior. But enough of the criticism for now, and let's talk about some good points, shall we? First of all, the details in this game are insane. Like the patch of sweat formed at the back of each character's clothes when you're out in the sun for some time. NPCs take photos and report you if they see you commit a crime, and also they will dispense as soon as you pull out the Glock and start firing. There's also dynamic traffic patterns in this game, simulating the traffic from real life. So the roads are more packed during certain times of the day, which is crazy, and there's so much more detail-oriented stuff that Rockstar really thought about and put effort into. The open world of this game at the time was massive and still is one of the biggest video game maps ever. There's so much variety in the environments, from the busy city streets of Los Santos to the hilly environments and deserts of Blaine County and the beautiful seashore driveways. This game's open world had pretty much everything you can ask for. Of course, this is a recreation of Los Angeles in real life, and it's quite impressive how similar parts of the map look to the real place. This is definitely one of my favorite open worlds in the series, second only to GTA San Andreas. But the downside of this is that I believe this game is what really started the trend of bigger open worlds being a thing, as no game really had attempted something quite like this before. And this trend of making open worlds bigger and bigger was exploited by several developers, to the point where the world started feeling empty and soulless. But GTA 5's world feels carefully crafted with an impressive amount of detail and feels so alive. There's also unique dialogue for some NPCs that you can hear. Seriously, this blew me away even now. You can also interact with the NPCs, which I'm guessing is sort of an early idea of the interaction system we can see in Red Dead 2. And I'm guessing this is only gonna get better with GTA 6. Whilst exploring the open world, I also really enjoyed listening to the radio, and what's crazy is that Rockstar collaborated with over 240 different artists to really give the music of this game a real and authentic feel, so that you really feel like you're listening to a real life radio station whilst driving. And there's over 15 radio stations and over 200 licensed tracks that you can hear. So plenty of music to hear during long driving times, especially during main missions. One cool little detail about the radio is that the news would talk about and reference events that happen in the main story, which really makes you feel that your actions in the game do have consequences in the world, which is presented in a very subtle and organic way, and that I really appreciate. There's also the in-game internet, which is an entirely different project of its own. You can do all sorts of things here, like browsing your Life Invader page, reading messages, seeing fake ads, and trading stonks. The crazy part is that the events in the game will affect the value of these stonks in real time, so you better buy them at the right time. This is just so realistic, and now I can finally understand what the crypto bros feel like. It's crazy that I didn't really check this part of the game out on my very first playthrough. Another part that I missed out on was buying and owning property. Each character can buy and own a certain property, and you can get paid on a weekly basis depending if the property has a business. You can also do specific missions tied to the property in order to get more profit, which honestly reminds me a lot of the property system from AC Brotherhood. I'm guessing that served as an inspiration for this. Hangouts with your buddies are also back, however I didn't really find it as organic or natural hanging out with the characters from GTA 5. It just feels off for some reason. It's definitely weaker compared to GTA 4, mainly because you had more variety in the type of activities you can do with your buddies in that game. In GTA 5 the choices are a bit more limited, as you can go to the strip clubs, bars, play golf, and that's really it. Meanwhile in GTA 4 you can play bowling, darts, pool, go clubbing and so on, so it is a bit underwhelming that they cut things down for this entry. GTA 5 is the first and probably only game that features 3 protagonists that you can play as at any given time. The 3 characters are Michael, Franklin and Trevor. You can switch between them at any given moment in the open world. What I like about this is that when you switch to them, the characters might be doing something on their own, whether it be something mundane or outright hilarious and weird, which makes them feel alive and like real people that do things even when you're not playing as them, which is really impressive, and I cannot imagine how difficult it must have been to implement this system. Each of these characters have their own distinct personalities, and what is really cool about this is that each area these characters live in really reflects that. With Franklin living in a shady ghetto area with gang-controlled neighborhoods, clearly reflecting Franklin's backstory of being born and raised in this sort of environment and having no choice but to turn to a life of crime. Franklin is pretty much the rookie amateur who wants to prove himself and escape the miserable life he has back in his hood. He also wants to show Tanisha, the girl he used to date, that how rich and successful he is, which obviously is not what she wants. He's young, ambitious and willing to take any opportunity to make dough, which I appreciate. Dude's a hustler. You have Michael living in his luxurious mansion, which looks all big and grand but at the same time feels so hollow and empty, reflecting how he feels about his life after retiring from the life of crime. Michael is the opposite of Franklin, an experienced and retired thief living in his big mansion with a fairly comfortable life. That's what you would think, but both his and his family's lives are extremely dysfunctional. He feels emptiness and unfulfilled as he misses that high of robbing people and banks, and he gets sad after he's roped back into that old life. I like how Franklin and Michael are complete polar opposites, as Franklin wants to escape his past life yet Michael wants to relive it, and it's very interesting to see things from both perspectives. Dude also has severe anger issues, which I believe he got from hanging out with Trevor too much, and also because of the frustration he feels from his mundane life, which he takes out on his kids whenever they do something wrong, which obviously is bad parenting. I mean, this whole family is cooked and really needs therapy, if anything. I am not really a fan of how this game resolves this family story arc, as they all just go to one therapy session and all is fine afterwards. Amanda and the kids move back in and everyone is nice to each other. Like what? That's it? Where is the trying? Where is the communication? Where is the understanding? It just feels very jarring and unrealistic. But then again, the whole story of this game is so wacky and over the top that it doesn't even surprise me anymore. One thing I dislike about Michael is that he's nothing but a big hypocrite. He always acts like he's a normal and innocent one whenever Trevor is around, but the truth is he's just as crazy as him for murdering and robbing so many people, which he tries to deny, but ultimately he isn't a good person. At least Trevor accepts that he's a crazy thief who murders people. I know it isn't any better, but at least he's honest to himself. Michael does try to change towards the end of the game, but I don't feel like he's fully redeemed, as he's still kind of an asshole to Trevor. Speaking of, lastly we have Trevor, who is probably the most wild and unhinged character Rockstar ever created. He's the most entertaining to watch out of the 3, and every line he has in this game is pure golden. This is also thanks to Stephen Ogg, the voice actor of Trevor, who improvised a lot of his lines and in turn gave us this crazy son of a bitch. People mostly like Trevor for being crazy, over the top and just unhinged, but he also has a soft side as we get to see in the story. And I do feel bad for him at some points, like how he got rejected from being an Air Force pilot because the doctors deem him unstable, how Michael just betrayed him like that, made him think he was dead and took all the money they stole with him. I mean, if I were Trevor, I'd be fucking pissed too, especially when he was so loyal to him and actually mourned him too. He also has severe abandonment issues, probably because his dad was a terrible person and his mom abandoned him, from what we can put together from the hints that we get. So he's actually a much deeper and complex character than people think he is. And Trevor lives out in the middle of the desert and sandy shores, which might be seen as empty, portraying how heartbroken and lonely Trevor feels after the North Yankton incident. But given how vast and open this area is, it also shows us how he's untethered by the shackles of society, and he just feels like he can do whatever the fuck he wants, because why the hell not? Which I'd say is more reflective of what players feel whilst playing Grand Theft Auto games. This sense of true freedom and over-the-top craziness that you can't really experience or do in real life without getting a death sentence. These three characters really complement each other quite well, and I do like their chemistry together, as Michael and Trevor act as mentors and also as walking cautionary tales for Franklin to not make the same mistakes that they made. Each character also has special abilities that come in pretty handy. Michael has the slowdown shooting ability similar to that of Bullet Time from Max Payne. Trevor has a rampage ability which allows him to do shit ton of damage and also take less damage whilst doing it. And Franklin's, which I found the most useful, was slowing down time during driving, which allows you to do quick turns and also makes your driving look a lot smoother. You also have the stats system, which basically boils down to the more you do a certain activity, the more your skill set grows. Like running and cycling gives you more stamina, pretty similar to real life. It's a decent system, but nothing tops the San Andreas fitness system for me in terms of customizing your character's skills and traits. Nothing goes more in depth than that game, which I could go into more detail, but maybe it's best to save it for another video relating to GTA San Andreas. Of course, this being a GTA game, you will be committing crimes and running away from cops a lot. The wanted police system is back with a 5-star rating this time. It used to be 6 stars in the previous games, but I don't know why they got rid of one. It is not that hard to shake cops in this game, unfortunately. Repainting the car definitely helps lose them, but never in this game did I feel like I had to, as I easily lost them with no problems. Especially compared to the previous games, the cops are kinda lame in this game. I think the cops in previous games were far more ruthless in their search. In this game, as soon as you lose sight of them for a couple minutes, they give up. Like, come on, I expected more of a fight from them. Which does kinda remove any serious consequence for your actions in the game. They're also just pretty unrealistic that I can just lose the cops by hiding under a parking lot. The police system in this game is far more forgiving, and I get why they did it to be more accessible for newer players, but man, that was part of the fun of playing these games. By busting your ass to get rid of cops, it made escapes more fun and interesting, and having to face them was also a much tougher challenge. Throughout the main story, you will be taking part in what is called heists, which are these big set-piece missions you have, clearly taking inspiration from Hollywood movies of course. You can decide what approach you want to take and hire the crew based on the requirements and skill required for the job. And if the people you choose end up being inadequate for the job, your crew is most likely gonna suffer. The crew you pick also gains skills after every heist. I love the heists and the different methods you can pull them off and the consequences you can face for making the wrong decision. At least it gives you more options than most of the other main missions in this game. Addressing the elephant in the room, Rockstar isn't really well known for good mission design. I'm sure other YouTubers have talked about this already, but their mission design feels very restrictive and linear, which has especially become quite dated now, considering more and more games these days give you more freedom on how you want to tackle a certain mission. But with Rockstar, if you do a specific thing that is slightly off script, your mission will instantly fail, and that is the biggest problems me and a lot of other people have with Rockstar's game design. There's also some missions where you'll be driving long distances, which could be boring for the average gamer, although I do like the character dialogue we get in the journey to keep our mind busy. But it's still a valid criticism. That being said, there are some story missions that I had a blast playing through in this game, and some of them are definitely more memorable than the others. Talking about stuff that you can do outside the main story, the side content, well, you have Strangers and Freaks missions, which are fun little side missions you can do, where you get to learn more about the weird and crazy inhabitants of Los Santos. There's races and challenges you can do, and you can also play some sports or do some activities. Other than that, there are some random events happening across the world, which is quite similar to the ones you can encounter in Red Dead Redemption, which is quite impressive that this was a system even before Red Dead Redemption 2. It's just that I only notice it now on this playthrough. That's really all in terms of side content, which is weird since I thought this game would be filled with more to do. So I was a bit underwhelmed with the stuff you can do outside the main story. Of course, there's certainly more stuff you can do in the online mode, but if you ignore that and only focus on the single player, there really isn't that much, which is kinda disappointing. Another thing I wish this game had was the ability to access inside more buildings, as you can access very few buildings in the game. Besides stores, the strip club and couple handful places, buildings aren't really as accessible, which is a darn shame, because it would have been amazing to find out what goes on inside some of these buildings. But I guess because of technical limitations of the hardware they couldn't do it, but let's hope it's a feature in GTA 6. Of course, I can't do a GTA 5 video without talking about the online. The best way to describe GTA Online is think of it like an amusement park where you have all the fun rides and activities you can do. Los Santos is pretty much the amusement park and you have all sorts of jobs you can do within it. You can do heists, races, and live challenges that pop up every now and then. You can do this either alone or with other players or your friends that you invited. Completing these gives you RP points to level up and also gives you money. You also meet characters from the main story in the online mode. We see more of Lester, And boy, I wish I didn't see more of him. Dude's a creepy motherfucker. He's definitely the kind of dude who'd end up on the FBI watch list. This was the first time I properly dived into the online and played a little bit of it. And I gotta say, I'm not really much of a fan of it. I mean, I get the appeal, but I feel like the funky and overwhelming vibe of it kinda kills it for me. Plus, I'm not much of an online multiplayer guy anyway. I also don't like the fact that the online just starts you off with such a strong build. Like, it doesn't seem like I have to work for anything to gain fancy stuff that's already been given to me. With a lavish, high-end apartment and luxury sports car, it kinda defeats the point of ranking up. The success of GTA Online though is undeniable, and it's what made big corporations invest in more shitty live service games. So I guess you can blame GTA Online for that. I do have to give it to Rockstar for keeping the online alive for so many years with constant updates and how much it has evolved over the years. Even the community behind it is insane. There are very few games that can replicate the success of GTA Online, and a lot of devs fail to mimic that. Still, Take-Two is a greedy company and there are microtransactions in this game, which pushes players to skip the grind and get all the luxury items in the game, whilst also destroying the experience of it. Overall, I get why people love GTA Online and still continue to play it, but it's just not for me. Cheats are another way to enjoy your gameplay experiences. Like every other GTA game, GTA 5 continues the tradition of having cheat codes, and this is the best way to enjoy GTA in my opinion, because it's just you causing wild chaos on the streets and it's so much fun. Some men just want to see the world burn, and heck yeah I do. I can punch and blast cops to oblivion, jump as high as Hulk, skyfall down the city. It's another way to have fun with this game, and I hope they continue having insane cheats in GTA 6 as well. I also forgot to mention that you can play this game in first person mode, but it's such a weird experience and definitely doesn't seem like it fits well with the game, as it just feels like a feature that was shoved in last minute without putting much thought into it. I really don't think this game needed that mode, as it's already immersive enough without it. Because of this, I just avoided using it for the most part. Now, discussing the main narrative of GTA 5, I gotta say I wasn't particularly fond of GTA 5's story, and it's an aspect that is least talked about from what I can see, but on a replay I really appreciate it. It's trying to do something different with its satirical commentary on American culture and politics. Of course, it's overly exaggerated and hard to take seriously, but isn't that the point of GTA, that you can do whatever you want without consequences? I mean, I can run over people on the sidewalk, drive rashly, steal cars. Besides the police wanted system slowing you down, the sky is the limit. I also can't help but be pissed off at the rich scumbag and corrupt FIB agent you help out in this game. Like, fuck Devin and Steve, these two are pricks, but I guess I'm supposed to hate them. The game's story also has some serious moments, especially when Trevor finally finds out the truth about Brad and the confrontation between Michael and him at North Yankton. Even the lead up to that scene is pure cinema, with the music and the narration of the events that happened before the heist 9 years ago. Michael shouldn't have fucked over Trevor like that, but given his circumstances of having a family, I get that he had no choice. I feel awfully bad for Trevor for finding out about this that way. And after this moment, it honestly cemented the fact that Trevor is my favorite character in this game. Not because of his craziness, but in spite of it. He still comes and saves Michael from the FIB shootout. And like it or not, he's still a good and loyal friend on the inside, even though he doesn't like to show it much. Another guy who's a true homie is Lamar. I absolutely love him, man. He's a genuine blast to be around, and I also really like his chemistry with Trevor. He's definitely my favorite side character in the game, and I wish we got more of him. I like how he serves as a connection to Franklin's past life, and how he can't fully cut that off, as the hood is a part of him even if he doesn't like it. He also does a good job at putting Franklin at his place and keeping him humble. Yeah, sure, he can't help but get himself into trouble, but seriously, you need a homie like Lamar around. Another thing that I noticed is that Franklin and Lamar's relationship mirrors that of Michael and Trevor, with Franklin being more like Michael and Lamar being more like Trevor. I guess it also helps Franklin's growth, as he sees firsthand what happens when you turn your back on your friends with Michael and Trevor, and that is why he can't help but still keep saving him. I really like this dynamic and friendship that they both share, and it's absolutely criminal that they didn't give us a side spin-off game or DLC with Lamar. It really would have been awesome. The ending of GTA 5 presents us with 3 options: killing Trevor so the FIB is off our back, killing Michael so Devin Prickton is happy, or option C. And of course, it goes without saying that the correct ending is the third option. It just brings everything to a neat and satisfying close. It especially felt good offing Devin together at the end. The other 2 endings I have seen, but they are pretty depressing and hard to watch. And who's to say that if we do what they said, that they're gonna keep their end of the bargain? They'll probably continue using Franklin to do their dirty work for them. So that's why, fuck him, cause we can. That's just the appeal of GTA, isn't it? Fuck everything and everyone, and do whatever you want. That's why option C is such a fitting ending for this game. GTA 5's narrative might not be the strongest in the series, but I can't deny that it is entertaining to experience. Sure, there are some times where I felt that the game went too far with its humor or edginess, and it most definitely wouldn't be acceptable by today's standards. Other than that, I quite enjoyed the narrative of GTA 5. It's trying to do something different from the other games, and I can understand and appreciate why they went for this tone instead of the more serious and grounded tone of the other GTA games. Grand Theft Auto 5 is a game that speaks for itself, like most Rockstar games. It's highly polished and still looks beautiful according to today's standards. It has some fun missions and an entertaining story and cast. However, there are some features of the game that are a bit weaker than the previous games in the series, maybe to make the game more accessible to a wider audience probably, and does struggle with the typical Rockstar problem of having restricted mission design. But overall though, I had a blast revisiting this game. I'd say it has aged tremendously in most aspects, and it's crazy how this game still manages to be relevant today, and it just shows how one well-made game can outlast so many others. I hope you guys enjoyed this retrospective look back at Grand Theft Auto 5. I'd really appreciate it if you can like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video and want more stuff like this in the future. And let me know in the comments below what sort of impact that this game had on you. But any which ways, I hope you guys have an amazing day, and as always, I will see you next time. Bye!